All right, so we are live. Welcome to episode 60 of Chillin with the NY Warriors. All right, guys, you know what? Let me get this chat open real quick while people start coming in before I do the introductions. All right, so we are live.
Ooh, that's me.
Whoops.
My bad.
Always the rookie that's got to ruin the intro. God damn it. Anyway, come on.
Biggs, we're live. What's going on?
All right, now, real quick, I was just opening the chat. It's full already. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, everybody's waiting.
What do you expect? This is a great show we got here, Biggs.
Yeah. What do you expect? People are thirsty right now.
Yeah, I know. So, guys, let me go down the chat real quick before we do the regular introductions. We have Poor Man's Comics already here. We have Genuine Article Comics, Deadpoolica from Instagram. We have Splash Page Comics. We have Big O. We have Amazing Murphinator 1083. We have 74 Screw Gun. We have Mr. D. We have Evan. We have BXPR Collector. We have Jason Smith. Guys, thanks for joining us. We have our returning friend, president and founder of CBCS, Steve Borock, has joined us again on our panel. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I always like hanging out with the Warriors.
All right. Always a pleasure having you on. So we have a nice show planned for you guys today. But first, I just want to let everyone know that this particular episode is sponsored by the geekyswagshop.com. You use the code NY Warriors and you get 15% off of your order. Later today, we're going to be doing a giveaway, guys. So stay tuned. Towards the end, we're going to be giving away this cool Deadpool book bag, and this is sponsored by geekyswagshop.com. Really nice quality bag, and we'll keep it simple. You have to be a subscriber. That's the first rule, and then it'll be the first person to answer the question that we decide, to ask you guys. So we'll do that at the end of the show.
Just in time for back to school.
Yeah, just in time for back to school, right?
Yep.
Very true.
They also have cool shirts. I wanted to show this off real quick. This is one of the t-shirts. This is actually Erod's t-shirt. The reason I'm showing is because it comes in this nice, cool box.
Nice.
And the shirt is, of what's that, Wolverine? Which issue is that? Number 2?
Number 2.
Put it towards the middle more so people can see the box. There you go,
guys.
That's nice.
It comes in a nice, cool box. So
make it look like it's a stack of comics or something,
right?
Yeah, it's really nice. And in the back, it gives you the product shot, the t-shirt and stuff, So it's really cool.
Nice.
Kind of like a store folio type, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. So if you guys in the chat have any questions for Steve, just in the chat, just write question real quick. That way it stands out amongst everyone else talking, and then as we, I'll get to it and I'll ask your question. All right. So how's it going, Steve? How has been the move so far to Dallas?
Well, it's been good and brutal. Dallas is pretty hip. I like it a lot. I haven't got to see much of it. I've been working nonstop. Basically putting in, 6 days a week. Sometimes I sneak in a few hours on Sunday so Pam won't kill me but I try to take Sundays off and hang out with Pam. And the adjustment's been crazy. The move took a lot longer than we thought, than actually Light Global even anticipated. And we've been busier than ever, so we've been trying to hire. And we've had some really good hires, and some not so good hires, which we've let go of.
Okay.
But training people takes forever. And so that takes time away from production, which is a real drag. So turn times have been been slower than usual. But we're getting, like I said, we're getting in more business than we've ever gotten in before. It's unbelievable. Seeing great books. I've been posting on Instagram quite a bit lately. It's really quick and easy, so it doesn't take time away from the work.
Yes.
So something comes across my desk, take a quick picture, write one sentence, and then boom, back to work. But this way I get to share all the really cool stuff with everybody.
I don't mean to cut you off, Steve, but I see that you do that, and one day I hope my book can make that picture. I wonder when my book is gonna make the cut.
Your books. First off, your book's got to be high grade first before they make that cut, bro.
It doesn't always have to be high grade. It just has to be cool or rare or anything.
Yeah, I
don't
see
know.
on
He don't
Instagram.
have
I'm
that
busy
kind
too.
of.
I see all them pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, you know what? Real quick, Steve, before we just go on, just want to on the chat real quick before because the chat is getting really full with a lot of comments.
Sure.
The Modern Vault says, "Hey guys, my CBCS books have arrived to me tomorrow. Thanks, CBCS." And then we have another one, all about comics. JP, he says he has a shipment coming in this week from CBCS as well. So people are getting their stuff, starting to get their stuff back now. So that's pretty cool.
It is, and I'm happy that things are moving along faster than they were a month ago. But, we were really, really with our backs to the wall at one point. It was really brutal. But everybody's been putting in as many hours as they can possibly, do without burning out. Because you don't want graders burning out. That's the worst thing you can have. We make the graders actually take breaks, even if they don't want to. You got to clear your eyes. It's really important. But at the same time, they're really dedicated and they're great at what they do. So, if you're really good at what you do, you can do it for hours on it.
Yes. There's a couple of more questions. There's a few questions already I want to get to on the chat. The first one is obviously you kind of addressed some of it now when you were speaking. This is from Genuine Article Comics. His question is, what is being done to address the much longer than anticipated turnaround times? We figured that's going to be one of the main questions, so we might as well just get that one first.
Sure. We're hiring. We have 2 great people coming on October 1st. And the problem is that you have people moving across the country, take the job. So even if they take the job, sometimes it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get them here.
Yeah.
They have to, get out of their apartment. They have to, get across country. They have to move into an apartment. They have to get acclimated, things like that. We just hired a new grader who I've known for many years, originally from the West Coast. Has been grading for years, as a seller and as a buyer. Scott McAdam, and
nice.
Really happy to have him on board. He's still in training mode right now, and it's not so much training with grading, it's how to put the information for the label into
the logistics.
The computer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Great.
And that takes a while to get right. The same thing with graders notes. We do graders notes for free.
Yeah.
We have the QR on the back of the label. You just scan it and you get your graders notes. We have a certain way that we like to have the graders notes written. You don't want somebody just to put, there's a 2-inch tear. You want to make sure it says 2-inch tear, left edge, back cover.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
You want it uniformed. You want everything
absolutely.
uniformed.
Yeah, as uniformed as possible. So we've been really, trying to, hire and, but like I said, training people to work with paper is really not easy.
Yeah.
We give people, especially with encapsulation, we give people a long box of books that I used to own for years and years and years. And we see how they handle them and how they encapsulate them. And it takes weeks before we'll let them actually encapsulate your books, because they have to be trained where they don't even put a little dent in the book.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
It's what we were talking about earlier. When it comes to handling a comic book, someone can know how to grade and someone can be taught that, or even with restoration, they can spot it. But learning how to actually handle the book afterwards is a big part of your training, because you want to keep the integrity of the grade that you guys just graded it at. So that person has to know how to touch it, has to know how to move it, how to fold, how to turn the page, how to make sure they handle it with care.
Sure. You have to cradle it gently in your hand like a baby.
Exactly.
So, some people think that it's just so simple. And, it's like, well, why don't you just hire more people? It's like, well, first of all, they have to be experts in grading if you're hiring for grading.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, they have to know how to handle paper. And some people, take jobs like encapsulation or customer service or receiving aren't, always trained beforehand. Mm-hmm. So like I said, it takes us weeks to get them ready to work with paper. We try to say, you know, you're handling butterfly wings. Imagine holding a butterfly wing. You don't want to break it.
Yeah,
it's very important. You just don't want to throw bodies at this.
no,
I mean,
that as big as our industry is, finding someone that cares for the condition of the book as much as the hobby itself or the character itself is not easy to find.
no, it's not. It really isn't. And we strive to find the best people possible.
I have a question here from Amazing Murphinator 1082. He says, "Can the Beckett graders grade comics too, or only sports cards?"
Only sports cards. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could grade a card. It takes so little time to grade a card. I mean, when I see how many cards these guys can do in a day, I'm so jealous.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, today I did a Tales to Astonish 44, and the cover was reattached with tape, but it was old tape.
Right.
Yeah.
So the spine was all crooked and everything because it was completely split and detached. And then you have to check to make sure the interior matches the cover, right? Who's to say that somebody just didn't put a different interior in? Now, luckily, I know the interior of Tales to Astonish 44, it's the first Wasp, right? But if it's something like Funny Pages, you know, number 2, volume 2, I really have to do a lot of research on that book.
Right.
And I mean, nobody knows that book. And it's so rare. We just got a bunch of Funny Pages in. That's one of the reasons I'm mentioning it. But, you know, these books are from, you know, 1939. You know, it's crazy.
Right. Are you seeing an influx of a lot of Golden Age coming in, like you said, like unknown ones coming in now, more than you used to see?
No, I'd say it's about the same amount. But what's cool is that I'm still seeing books that I've never seen before in high grade, or a book I've only seen, you know, 20 years ago. And it's a lot of fun. That makes my job fun. I mean, I grade New Mutants 98 all day long. Right. So, you know, it's not that it's not a cool book. It's just that I see it every day. Right. Same thing with Hulk 181. See it every day.
Right.
But if I get in, you know, More Fun 52, the First Spectre, which was one of my favorite books, you know.
Yes.
You know, I'm just like, wow, this is great, you know, and I get to enjoy it again.
Not only that, you post on Instagram on books that you're starting to grade or that day or whatever. And sometimes you post some stuff and I just go, wow. You know?
Yeah, if I think that most people have never seen it, or if they've never seen it in high grade, or it's just a really cool cover, that's when I'll post. And I post on my personal Facebook page too. You know, you hit that button that says, you know, post on Facebook, and so people really seem to dig it. And so I dig it, and I figure, well, if I'm digging this, then maybe everybody else will too.
Yeah, we sure do.
We definitely do.
It's you know, it's one thing that I commend you guys for is that how reachable you are. You know,
yes.
You know, you don't get that with other people. You know, it's very, very reachable. It's easy to contact you. You know, it's not something that's hidden. So that's really good. You know, that's really...
You're available. You're very available. You can hit them up anytime, and it's not like, you know, like the other company. You can't. Where the hell you don't see nobody else doing interviews like this. So, I mean, I'm just gonna keep it 100. I'm sorry, guys, but you know,
we try to be very accessible. I mean, the phone lines are jammed. We get so many calls that, you know, people have to leave a message or have to, you know, wait 2 days for an email back. But everybody in the company tries to be very accessible. Now, I'll get an email saying, hey, you know, what's the status of this? And I just pass it along. I don't answer it. You know, I can't spend my time doing that.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants me to grade and keep grading. They don't want me to sit there answering emails all day long, or taking phone calls all day long, or answering texts all day long. But I do answer everything that comes in, whether it's a text or an email or a phone call, but I might do it after hours.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, even though I put in, like easily in a 60-hour week, I'm still at home and checking my emails and checking my texts and everything like that.
That's great. That's wow. 60 hours of grading people's comic books. So give Steve a break, people. Don't bother him. He's grading your book. Shush.
Well, it's not just grading. I mean, I deal with, advertising. I deal with all sorts of facets of the business. I try to keep my finger a little bit in everything, so I know what's going on, and so I can actually advise people, right? Especially, like I said, with advertising or new projects that are coming out, things like that.
Right.
With right now we're working on not revamping the website, but adding to it to make it better.
Okay.
So we're adding different functionality. That's the correct word for it, and to make it easier for you guys to use. So I have my finger in that too. So it's not always just grading. If it was just grading, I could probably do 50 hours a week.
You mentioned I'm going to get to there's some more questions in the chat, but since you brought it closely to that, I think you mentioned to me something about the census rolling out soon.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it's soon. We're just
you're working on it.
Yeah, I mean, everything is so complicated when it comes to IT. I mean, I know comic books real well. I'm a real dummy when it comes to IT. I'm older, so I didn't grow up on computers, and we're working through everything. We want to get Census, and of course collector's sets, so people can show off their sets and everything like that.
Yeah,
and we're also been in contact with a major player in the industry who wants to have an online up-to-date daily price guide for CBCS and CGC books.
Nice.
And that would be incredible.
That's a big game changer right there.
It's going to be huge.
That is huge.
Yeah, the only one out there right now does CGC only. And this person was not real happy about that. So, and like I said, they're a major player in the hobby.
Okay.
And they're ready, willing, and able to go. So we're going to start working with them.
That's great.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that one.
You guys heard it here first.
That's going to be something.
Don't get me wrong. I'm still a big Overstreet fan.
Right.
Really big Overstreet fan. I mean, I've been an advisor for many years.
Owners still use that book, dude. I'm telling you, I got a guy that still gets that book and uses that book still.
True. Yeah.
There's some shops that go by that.
Yeah,
sure.
The original Bible, guys. The original Bible.
There you go, Jeff.
Yeah, they're about to hit their 50th year. I mean, Bob did an incredible job. I mean, he's not just, he didn't just like start a price guide to make money. I mean, he got, I don't know if you all know, but, when Bob came out with the first price guide, people were not calling it the Overstreet price guide. They were calling it the overpriced street guide. And Bob got a lot of flack. And this guy loves the hobby more than anybody I know. And he goes over, thousands and thousands of sales reports from all the advisors and everything. And he just tries to, keep the hobby on an even keel. So if some book goes up like 200% for 6 months and then drops, he doesn't report that high sale, right? Just because it got hot for a little while. He just tries to keep things nice and easy. Now, that's the problem with, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because sometimes some of these books will keep going up, right? So you have to wait till next year to get that high price in the guide. But you also don't want to falsely inflate the market. And Bob's done a fantastic job of that. You really have to give this guy props. I mean, think about it, almost 50 years now.
I know. That's wow.
Yeah,
Long time.
we just had a show recently talking about the not really falsifying, but how accurate are these programs, these apps on when sales are done, and if sales are not completed, does the program take the sale off, or does it, so that was all questionable. So hopefully this helps that part of it.
Sure. I mean, and there's when there's money involved, I mean big money, there's always going to be people who are trying to scam the system, right?
Yeah.
So let's say something's in the auction and they have 4 copies of a rare book because they've been hoarding them. They'll throw into auction and they'll shill it. Okay. And so let's say the book was worth $5,000. All of a sudden it gets shilled up to 8. Okay. And then this way the guy can sell his other 4 copies really high. And nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, it's a shame, but that's the way it is. Yeah. And like I said, whenever there's big money involved, there's always going to be somebody trying to scam the system. It's why certification exists.
Yeah.
I mean, before certification, people were selling books on eBay without, with a missing page and as near mint.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't have any protection in the beginning of eBay. I've been using eBay since it started, believe it or not. And it was horrible, but there was no protection. You were basically on your own, and you had to have some know-how of whatever product that you were buying and making sure that the guy was going to even send it to you. You didn't have all these things that you got in place now with buyer protection, seller protection, tracking, all that. You didn't have that. And people got scammed on there. I was a big autograph guy back in that time. So I'm not being smart and bought some autographs there that turned out to be fake. That's when PSA and James Spence came out with the authentication and all that. And then boom, you got, with the whole comic grading, that really helped big time with you guys.
Absolutely. Definitely. I mean, we're having a real problem with Stanley signatures right now.
Oh, wow. Really?
I think we're going to actually, we have 2 services, right? We have the verified signature program.
Yeah.
Which, specialists from BAS, Beckett Authenticated Services, come in and they're experts and they look at the signature and they decide if it's real or not. And then we have the witness signature program, right? But even the witness signature program, we're having trouble with Stan Lee. He's so old right now that his signature, even if it's legitimate, sometimes looks like a scribble.
It's not legible. Yeah.
And anybody can forge it. So we're probably going to start turning down anything that Stanley did probably from 2018 on. And we can, if it's witnessed, we'll say remarked by Stan Lee, because we know it's real. But with the verified program, we can't tell if it's real or if the kid did it.
Yeah.
And we'll have to say, we're not doing this.
No.
The integrity of the hobby and of the verified signature program and the authentic, authorized signature program is so important. And protecting the collectors is real important. And as much as we love Stan, I mean, I've seen them where they're waking him up in the middle of a signature, where they're holding his hand while he's signing. I mean, it's a horror show. I love this man. He's done so much for the hobby. He's worked with the Hero Initiative so much. I can't thank him enough for what he's done, for charity, for the hobby, for other people. And I know, of course, the enjoyment he's given me, personally throughout the years.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It really, really is. And of course, there was all the scams with his management and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. It really is. But we're going to have to probably stop the witness program with Stan Lee. And like I said, with the verified signatures, it's impossible for experts to tell if a kid drew it or Stan Lee did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a question. Speaking about signatures, I don't know if it's bad or not, but this whole like now it's kind of like you're being limited on what AWs can witness without like agents or whoever is handling some of these artists' signatures. Like so like it's coming to a point that is like now AWs can't really witness anything almost.
Well, no, that's not true. I mean, they can witness a lot, but there's certain people, like I think it's Rob Liefeld, CBCS exclusive, right?
Yeah.
There's certain people I think that might be our competition's exclusive, right? Neil Adams doesn't care. He's getting paid, $50.
Yeah, he's getting $50 a signature. Yeah.
Right. He's like, yeah, I'll sign for anybody. Neil's a good friend, and he just wants to make his money, and he doesn't have any horse in the race. He just like saying, hey, I'm getting paid for my signature. Do with it what you will. I know Joseph Linsner is CBCS only, but there was a lot of hanky-panky going on, if you will, years ago, and they would say if you're getting it graded, it's $10. If you're not getting it graded, it's $5. And people would just, for the extra $5, would lie to these creators and say, oh, no, they're not being witnessed, and that started just a whole, storm of creators being unhappy.
Yeah.
We don't want the creators being unhappy. They give us such enjoyment.
Yeah, but as a AW, we are supposed to tell the creators that we are getting the books graded because
absolutely,
that's what we do.
And why lie to these guys? It doesn't make sense. For an extra $5, you have to live your life the way you want to. But the bottom line is, if you live your life doing the right thing for the hobby, then the hobby will continue to grow. If you do the wrong thing, we're going to hurt our hobby, and we love our hobby.
So we have a few questions in the chat. I want to get back into that because I don't want to skip too many people. We have one here from Evan. He wants to know, will CBCS, I kind of know this, I think you mentioned this already the last time that you was with us when you talked about the pressing services you guys offer. He wants to know, will CBCS be getting a CCS-like restoration department?
When you say restoration department, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. We probably will not offer restoration services.
What about removal?
Yes, that's something that we're thinking about offering. But the problem with that is that I would say 98% of restored books should not be touched, because you don't want to put holes into books. You don't want, you don't want to take, something that looks like a 7.0 and make it into a 3.0, right? You don't want to chop up books. But if somebody added a corner to the book, that can be safely removed.
Yeah.
Or if there's 2 dots of acrylic color touch that doesn't bleed through, you can flake it off. But I don't want to be the guy who's known as mangling books, right? I don't want to be the company known for mangling books. If they're restored, they're restored. And it's really strange that that our hobby, especially with conserved books, right, is so, I guess the price difference is so huge. But if you look at other hobbies, conservation's not only accepted, but almost mandatory. So if you have a 3-inch spine split that's going to get worse, why can't you seal it up with something that's archivally safe so it doesn't get worse?
Yeah.
And you help the book. help the longevity of the book, and you help the look of the book. It doesn't make sense to me. I think things will change over time. I'm hoping they will. But right now, people just are like, oh, something's done to the book. I don't want it. And it makes no sense. When I bought the More Fun 52 Mile High back in the day, I paid $115,000 for it.
Oh.
And this was the most ever paid for a comic book cash.
Oh, wow.
And it had a couple of dots of color touch and a couple of dots of glue. The thing looked like a 9.6. And it was a true Edgar Church Mile High. It should never have been touched. It would have been a 9.2 without it. But back in the day, nobody thought anything about it. Times have changed.
Yeah.
But I didn't care that that book had a little bit of work. You're not going to find a better copy. It's the First Spectre. It's fantastic. It's a piece of our history. It's, you know, it's just impossible to find that book in great shape.
Yeah.
And it's not affecting the story, which is
when it comes to, I feel the same way. When it comes to the older books, as Golden Age books.
Oh yeah.
If you find them with a little restoration on it, just to help the book, like you said, hold the spine together, I'm okay with that as well. It's the newer books where you find restoration that I think most people have an issue with. Like, you shouldn't find the Hulk 181 with restoration. There's so many, good copies out there. That book should not be restored. You know?
Yeah, I mean, forget that. I'm seeing Spider-Man 300s with black color touch on it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's just people trying to scam other people.
Yeah,
it's
get more money.
So bad. We see modern books with color touch, and it just blows our mind.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't at this point. I've been doing it for so long, but it still does. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when I was younger, and I remember a shop a long time ago that was actually offering, because I think he was part of the Overstreet, whatever. He was offering to restore old books, to try to make them, clean them up, make them. This is before grading and everything, just to keep the preservation of the book still intact and try to make it less deteriorating and all that stuff. But
sure, well,
yeah, no, a lot of places that I knew when I was growing up were offering that type of service.
Sure, and back in the day, restoration wasn't frowned upon the way it is now.
Yes, correct.
But they were also doing things like trimming the book. Right.
Yeah.
Chopping 3 edges.
Yeah.
To make it look better, and that's kind of crazy. You don't want a book being really small.
Correct.
We don't consider trimming restoration. We consider it desecration, basically, because you're taking away parts of the book.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. But you said with the trying to keep the spine intact and keeping all the little things intact, I can get that. But when you just hit it, I was just about to say, when they do the trimming, though, I didn't know who the hell came up with that idea. That was just bad.
Yeah.
Bad. I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, Manny.
All right.
Be good, Manny.
All right,
man. Take care.
All right,
Good night.
All right. So we have another question from the chat. This is from Prowlers679. He says, how many graders do you guys have, and how many do you plan to have? Do you have a certain goal, a certain amount that you were aiming for?
Right. Right now we have 8 graders, and we'd like to have 12, but the thing is that you have to pay graders quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
And so, do you want us to raise prices, or you want us to keep the prices down, right?
Yeah.
The bottom line is, as much as this is a hobby to me, CBCS is a business.
That's right.
And like I said, you don't want to just throw bodies at the books, right? Because we actually care about the books. But we also don't want to raise prices where people are going, wait a minute, this is too much money. I don't want to pay for this. And don't get me wrong, there's always going to be price hikes in any business. But if I hired 4 graders tomorrow at a decent salary, we'd have to raise prices. And so everybody would be jumping up and down. Instead of saying you don't have enough graders, they'd be saying you're charging too much money.
Yeah, you're never gonna please everybody. That's this world. You already know. You're never gonna please everybody.
No, it's really funny. The veterans in the hobby send in books to get graded, and they don't care how long it takes because they want it graded correctly. They don't want it handled wrong. But I'll have somebody it's their first time sending in 2 books, and it's just as safe being housed with us, if not safer, than being housed with them. So if it takes a while, they scream and yell, and I understand it because as a consumer myself, in other factors of life, right? I want things quick as well, but I'd rather take quality over speed. And so I don't jump up and down if something takes a little longer. But I do understand that we're in an age where we have Amazon Prime, 2-day shipping, right?
Yeah.
You order something and boom, it's right there. eBay these days, if you don't ship right away, you get negative feedback.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it would take a while for you to get Comic Buyer's Guide, a newspaper, right? And you would send somebody a letter saying, I'd like this book. And they'd answer you back in like 3 weeks. And they'd tell you if they still had the book or not.
Right.
And then you'd write to them and say, okay, well, you still have the book. Here's the check. Here's the money. And 4 weeks later, you'd get the book. And
True.
You had a 10-day return policy.
Crazy, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Back in
a
the days.
completely different world.
Back
I
in the
got a
day,
lot of
6 to 8 weeks for delivery.
I got a lot of Silver Age books in the mail from dealers from the local shows that my dad took me to, because they said, "Oh, I didn't bring everything. Here's my list. Send me a letter of what you want." And that's how I got a lot of my books, a lot of good books that are now not $10 books anymore. So I got some good ones from that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's insane how different it is right now. I mean, if I don't answer an email within 24 hours, somebody gets angry with me, and I might have had the weekend off. I might have taken a vacation day.
Yeah, that's right. So real quick before we go any further, we have about 50 viewers right now watching, and I just want to remind everybody that this episode was brought to you by the geekyswagshop.com. Use the code NY Warriors, get 15% off your order. The link to their website is in the description already. And at the end of the show, we're going to be giving away this Deadpool book bag to one lucky subscriber. We'll let you know how do you win it at the end of the show. All right, guys. I just want to remember because not everyone saw the beginning. So we've gotten more people watching since we started.
And we got a lot of questions coming.
Yeah, I have a question myself though. I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Last time you was on the show, I asked you about magazine size and cancellation, and you said y'all were working on that. What's the update on that?
Well, we actually pulled back on that.
Okay.
The tooling costs, the molding costs, everything is very expensive, and we have to work on things that are more important right now.
Okay.
The magazine market is small, right? So let's say we spend $100,000. It's going to take us years to get that back. And as much as we'd like to help the hobby, once again, like I said, CBCS is a business as well. I'd rather put that money, and I believe that our clients and our customers would rather us put the money into hiring people and training people than having a magazine holder.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a very large market.
Yeah. Yes, it's not a big market. I can see as a business aspect of it, I can see why that you got to put that on hold. There's other priorities To me, the magazine market is not that big. You know, I mean, I don't personally know too many people that grade magazines like that, or even collect magazines. You know, at a large scale, like we do with comics. You know,
I mean, are there that many magazines as there are comics?
yeah.
Like magazine comics, I guess, is one.
Or
It's
the bigger question
it's gotta be like 1%. I mean,
the bigger question is: are there magazines that are worthy of getting slabbed and graded? Are they worth that?
Vampirellas,
Like the
Vampirellas.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great comic magazines out there. But you know,
Marvel Presents, previews, something like that. Yeah,
sure,
all
but,
that.
I mean,
You know, there's a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there. But
sure. I mean,
how many are grading them? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. That's the thing. If you walk around a convention, you know, you see thousands of graded books.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them are magazines?
Yeah,
I would probably see the.
I don't even see magazines at the cons half the time. There'll probably be like one little front box.
I would see the Kiss comic more graded magazine than anything, and the Vampirella ones. That's about it. You know, those are the only ones I see up on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have the early Punishers.
Oh yeah, those two now.
Star Lord. Of course, you have Star Lord. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was fortunate to see a Mad Magazine #1. It wasn't
well, that's not
rated, but it was it was in the top loader.
Mm-hmm.
Up there with other slap books. So.
Right, but the first 24 issues of Mad are comic book size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so those are the most valuable. So it's okay. We got those, right? It'd be cool to have the first magazine size one in a CBCS holder. And don't get me wrong, I'd love it.
Right.
But it's just not practical right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we have another question from All About Comics, and I haven't even scrolled down. I can imagine the other questions.
There's a ton.
There's a lot of questions.
I'm going to I'm trying to go in order, but we're not gonna. Eventually, we're not gonna get to all the questions. Too many of them. But
we can always do this again, guys. You know, I love hanging out with you.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you're always welcome. You know, on the show whenever you want to come on or whenever you have time. This one's from All About Comics. He wants to know what is the average time it takes to grade a book.
Oh wow, there is no average time. Like I said, you know, I was doing that Tales to Astonish 44 today. It took a few minutes, but then I'll get a 9/8 of a brand new book. And it literally takes me, you know, about a minute and a half to grade it. You know, count the pages, check the defects, put in the notes, hit the grade button, put it back into the Mylar. But then there's books that'll take me, you know, if I get an Action 1, the restoration check alone takes 15, 20 minutes. So there's no average grade. Every book is different. They're kind of like fingerprints, actually. Everyone has a little different manufacturing cut. You know, there's a spine stress that you can't say it has. You can't say because the book has one spine stress, it can't be a 9/8. Because 9/8s have defects, right? But what if it has 3 spine stresses, but 2 of them don't break color, and you're like, oh, this is like a 9/7. But there's no such grade. Then you have to say, well, what's it going to look like in the holder? And then you have to decide between 9/6 and 9/8. So even then, a modern might take longer.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask a question. Since we're talking about grading stuff, this is from one of the people in the chat, Niobe Comics. He got his own. He started his own comics on Kickstarter, and he wanted to know what the process for like grading indie comics, if you guys even do indie comics.
Well, I'm not sure what we're talking about because we do a lot of independents. So I mean,
well, let's just say they do a comic on Kickstarter. Right, and let's just say somebody get that book from Kickstarter and they like, oh, you know what, I want to get it graded. Is that possible?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if it's something that's easily reproducible, it's something that's done it. They made the comic at FedEx office, right?
Right.
No, we won't do those. But if it's manufactured, where it's full gloss and good pages, and it can't be easily reproducible because nobody's going to spend the money to reproduce this Kickstarter book, right? It would cost way too much money. So then we would grade it. But we see books that are just done, at FedEx office, we won't grade those. Because if they say it's one of 200, well, who's to say that somebody's not going to buy one, go to FedEx office, make 200 more copies?
Right.
Interesting.
Once again, you have to protect the hobby.
All right. Actually, I seen a question in here, and I really am interested to hear your answer on this because I see this a lot. This is from the Model Vault. How do a printer, the printer grab holes on the bottom of the book? How does that affect the grade? I see those on the bottom of pages.
I mean, Spider-Man.
How does that affect it?
Sure, Spider-Man 361 is a perfect example.
Okay.
Right. Unless there's quite a bit, it doesn't affect the grade. Because it's how the book hit the newsstand and got to you, right? But then if you go to like 1968, Submariner 1, Iron Man 1, Iron Man Submariner 1, Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. There's some other books. If you look at the back cover, you'll usually see that the gripper was set too tight. And it's either a gripper tear, small, very small, or a very small chip out. And because it was made that way, we don't take as much off as if it was just something that was torn off the book. So we factor in production defects less than we would factor in a handling defect.
Gotcha. Cool. That's interesting. E, you got any more? Because I'm trying to scroll and find some here.
Yeah, no, I saw one in the chat. I'm not asking him that here. This ain't the show for that. Yeah, there was one, kind of lost it a little bit. It was, let me go back.
Well, if you don't have a question, you can't find it. I have one more.
No, yeah, go ahead, keep on.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Now, for the signature verifications, they give you a red label in the encapsulation, right?
Yes.
I heard rumors, speculation floating around that they're supposed to be changing that.
Yes, there's something in the works right now. We'll be making an announcement fairly soon, actually. Okay. And once again, you heard it here first.
There you go. Well, that's two.
We're on a roll. Thank you.
I know.
Well, I like talking to you guys. I don't mind giving you the scoop.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. All right, two big things out there. I'm sure everybody will spread it around. Make sure you heard it from this show. Thank you all.
Give credit to your sources.
There you go.
Well,
Steve is the main source, so we're just the microphone out to the world.
But without you guys, I wouldn't get it out there.
I'm scrolling in the chat, and then my phone it just.
All right.
Somebody, I don't know.
All right, hold on. I'll find one. Guys, you got Eli? Don't you got a question?
Yeah, sure. I haven't really said anything all day.
All right.
But I'm gonna ask a question that's not really about grading and kind of about how, like, you said that you had sold your collection, for the last show. You said you had sold your collection in order to avoid, the bias with, grading certain books and stuff like that.
Sure, and especially the perception
of
bias.
Right. So I wanted to know, what was it like selling off your entire collection, what was the process pretty much? Because I know there's a lot of people that would want to like move their collections, and including myself. So how does that process usually go?
Well, it was different back then.
Mhm.
Heritage Auctions wasn't around. Comic Link was in its infancy. Certification was not around. So basically I had to use friends and dealers and collectors that I
Right.
knew to sell my collection. And I knew the top buyers and stuff like that. So that made it easy, but boy, was it heartbreaking at first. It was like, wait a minute, I spent all this time putting this, run of Marvel Mystery together, or, the Flash run. It was really tough. I mean, but selling was different back then. Now you have Heritage and Comic Link, the two best auction houses to sell your books through, right? And if they're certified, it's pretty easy to sell your collection. Now the emotional part is a lot different.
Yeah.
And auctions can, make your stomach turn.
Right.
It's the first day the auction opens. You get tracking bids, and you're like, wait a minute, this piece is worth $3,000, and it's at $300. Well, that's because it's the first day of the auction,
Right.
and then it goes up, but most people wait to the last minute, and so it's a roller coaster ride. And I never suggest putting one piece in the auction. I always suggest putting 5 or 6 pieces in.
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 go high, 1 or 2 go low, the other 2 go at market, and you get market value for those pieces. But like I said, the Heritage and Comic Link are fantastic. They're really, really good. But then again, you might have a dealer that you work with, right? And they'll give you a percentage off of what market value is, and you don't have to do all the work. You just hand over your collection, and they do that. Another great place is Lone Star, mycomicshop.com.
Yes.
It used to be called Lone Star.
Yeah.
They're great people, really good to sell through. Like I said, some of the top dealers are great to sell through. They take it on consignment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely different world from when I sold my collection.
Yeah.
Completely different world. And it's funny, seeing like the Flash 1 Mile High that I sold, then seeing it in a Heritage ad selling for $400,000 and change. I was like, oh no, really? I could have had that kind of money if I just held on to it,
Yeah.
But, you never know the future.
Right.
We have a question from Evan. It's about your pressing. He said, will you be hiring an on-site presser or continue to outsource to people like Joe? I don't want to mispronounce the last name.
No, we have a CBCS pressing service. They're located in Florida. They did not move with us. And you can send directly to them, and then they send directly to us.
Okay.
So it's not really outsourcing, but it's a different location.
Yeah, and it's under CBCS, so it's CBCS pressing, or does it have a different name?
I think it's CBCS pressing.
It's CBCS. All right. So okay. So there you go, Evan.
There you go.
Yeah, actually, there's a Facebook page, I know for sure.
Yes, there is a
pressing.
Facebook page with the address, and they clearly state if you want it pressed, send it to Florida, and then we'll send it to Texas.
Yeah.
So
right.
there's maybe in the future you might move the press in Texas, keep it all under one house, or
I
is it
have
better?
no clue at this point. I mean, we're dealing with so much stuff since the move
Yeah.
that I'd like to keep things as simple as possible.
Mhm.
And I think the company wants to do the same. But, nothing's off the table.
Yep.
True.
I seen another question, and I think it's very cool, a very good question. Pope Cerebus the First. How do they certify or recognize pedigree collections?
Well, Pedigree collections, there's a bunch of standards for that. It has to be original owner, so nothing can be bought from a secondary source. It has to be bought off the newsstand. It has to be very high grade or very important. So let's say it's not high grade, but it's Action 1 up, Techno 27 up, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
But it really should be high grade, kind of complete runs or special runs. And there's a distinction between pedigree and collection, right? So sometimes you'll see on the label from the personal collection of, or from the so-and-so, or from the so-and-so collection, right? That's not a pedigree. But something like the Riley San Francisco's, the Edgar Church Mile Highs. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Edgar Church Mile High book, or San Francisco Riley book.
No, I never haven't seen one. No.
It looks like they came off the press.
Oh wow, nice!
It's incredible. The page quality is blazing white on a lot of these. I mean, whiter than what you think would be white.
Yeah.
And the cover gloss just pops out at you. It's incredible.
Nice.
There's a reason that they're pedigrees. The curator copies, White Mountains, they're just beautiful. But we actually go through the books, and people have brought us in books that say collections, and they say they're pedigree, and we're like, wait a minute, but this one has color touch in the spine. You didn't buy it off the newsstand.
Oh wow.
And it becomes a collection, or it just becomes nothing on the label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the integrity of the pedigree is really important.
I mean, so someone who wanted to be a pedigree, how would they go about that? If they got like what you subscribed, what you just said, what they have, and they got those books, how do they want to get a pedigree name on your label?
Oh, well, basically what they do is they contact us. If they're serious about certifying the entire collection, we work out some kind of deal with them in writing, and we go inspect the books. We either fly to them, or they send the books to us, or they send us a sample of the books. We'll take a look at the sample and say, yeah, these look really, really good. Let's see the rest of the collection. But we have to see the entire collection.
Gotcha. Which is, you want that name. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah. So real quick, because there's a few things that we want to talk about. Steve wants to share also with us, because you all know he doesn't collect any comics no more because of the reasons that he spoke about. There are a few things he's actually collecting. I do have the pictures here. I want to share a little bit about it, just in case there's people that don't know about these things. Also, there's a couple of shows that CBCS is going to be at. We're going to talk about that. So this is going to be the last question that I'm going to take from the chat. I'm not going to take any more after this. Unfortunately, time is already catching up on us. Real quick.
Oh, wow. It's getting late. Time flies fast with you guys.
It's been an hour. So this last question is from the Great Legend Show. The last part of the question, we already spoke about that in the beginning, Rob, but I'll ask the first part is, where do you see CBCS a year from now?
Well,
kind of like our closing. Yeah, I know that's a fully loaded question right there.
Yeah, that's a lot of loaded question.
Damn. I wish I had a crystal ball. That would be fantastic. Maybe I'll just grab my magic 8-ball from upstairs. But anyway, basically, where we see it going is further. Like I said, we're busier than we've ever been, and that's I don't know. It's humbling. I think people respect our grading. and they like the case, and but I would in a year from now, I'd like to have the turnaround times down to something that's super quick, because people love that, right? I'd love to see a few more graders and more people in encapsulation. I'd like to see us do more smaller shows, just to meet and greet with the collectors. I think, grassroots is very important. I also see that, we've become a premier grading service, but I'd like to be the premier grading service. And that's my wish.
Yes.
Right? That's not where I see us, but that's where I hope to be.
Yeah.
I hear you.
That's great. So you know what? There's a few things that I want to show. That Steve sent me some great pictures of a couple of items that he's been collecting, he's been finding, and I think they're pretty cool, especially for our type of community, because we collect comics, but we also show off comic related items, especially some rare, hard to find ones, and there's gamers in our community. There's a little bit of everything. So let me just do a little quick screen share, and I'll click on the item, and then Steve, you could just talk about it, so let us know what it is that we're looking at. Let me just do this quick little screen share.
Oh no!
And to infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
I'm falling.
Oh.
Yeah, no, sorry guys. All right, so can you see that, Steve? You see it?
Absolutely, sure. That's the Spider-Man Third Eye postcard from the 70s with the original envelope. Something that Marvel actually sold. It's Marvel Mania is really cool, and that was based off of blacklight posters that they sold. So in the 70s, like, oh man, this is cool. We'll just turn off the lights, put the black light on, and see Spider-Man or Doctor Strange, everybody glow. They did puzzles, which I think I sent you some pictures of, that are really tough to find, complete or sealed. And there you
go. Here you go, the puzzle. This is the Silver Surfer one.
You're right. That's Silver Surfer based on the blacklight poster. And I was able to pick that up. It's in really nice shape. I would say like very fine to near mint, with all the pieces over 500 still there.
I'm digging that. That looks nice.
That's from 1971.
Wow. That's older than me.
You got to frame that.
And then this is the Fantastic Four one that we're showing now.
Yes, that one I have is completely still sealed in the shrink wrap, which is almost impossible to find.
Oh yeah.
It's Jack Kirby art. It's really
it screams
cool.
Jack Kirby.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at all those machines and buildings. It's incredible. Lots of fun, and so I'm having a blast collecting my childhood. It's really great.
Awesome. Yeah, and then you've been also into video games lately, right?
Yeah, it's really funny. I'm old, right? I'm 55, and I was never a video game guy. I was pinball. Right. That was big back in the day for me.
Pinball's still good, man. It's still good. It's still around.
I still love it. Yeah, sure. But I've seen these really cool video games as great graphics, and they look really cool in my collectible cabinet. And there's actually now a new certification service for video games called What a Games, and these guys are experts. They're fantastic. So I've gotten to know them. I've gotten to know some of the top sellers of video games, and it's like comic books on eBay in 1999. It's really murky waters, right? You have to be very careful what you're buying.
I love that Swamp Thing one. That's really cool.
I didn't even know they had a Swamp Thing.
I didn't even know they had a Swamp Thing video game. That's cool.
Yeah,
man.
The artwork is alone on it.
Yeah, I knew about that game for a little bit. My friend has a loose cartridge of it.
Yeah, that's a really tough piece to find in complete in box.
Yeah.
Looks like in great condition too.
Yeah, it's really nice for being used. Some of the ones that I have are sealed. I have a Punisher with Spider-Man. It's
sealed. That one's sealed. Yeah.
Right, and some other ones. That's what you're showing now is the interior of the Marvel Value Stamp #1. Oh, you just switched.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
that's okay.
Because I was trying. I don't have them named, so I got to look at them. So I wanted to show the other video game one.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Swamp Thing game. Sure, and that's really tough to find. And I just love, just the visual.
Oh, there you go. That's what I was looking for. And that's the Wolverine one, right?
Yeah,
I played that game. That game was so much fun.
That one looks sealed also. You can
tell. It looks awesome. It looks awesome like that. It makes you regret by
I think that was a cover too. They took that from one of the Wolverine.
Yeah, it was taken from the cover. Absolutely.
And then you have this one, your Marvel Superheroes.
Or Gems.
Yeah, that was another one that's hard to find and sealed, factory sealed.
Yeah.
But they just look cool. So I'm digging them. And but I think that video games are going to take off. I mean, once again, it's part of somebody's childhood.
Right? Yeah. Right. Yes.
And I've been seeing more of that too. You hit that on the head. That's like starting. Oh, I wouldn't say it was starting to boom. It's been booming. Yeah. It hasn't stopped. That's what I'm saying. It's more as more and more collectors get older, they always looking back of what they had and they trying to find it again, or maybe they like that game so much they want a nice one that's still in the box, still with the plastic. And graded now. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. And now that there's a legitimate certification service, I believe that, like cards, coins, action figures, comic books, I think this will have legs. I think it would protect the hobby.
Yeah.
And these cards here, these are Donruss.
1966 Donruss Marvel Superhero trading cards. I have a full set. You had to buy gum packs back in the day. And the back of them actually make a puzzle, which is Captain America, Thor, Daredevil, Spider-Man. It's really cool.
Nice.
And so, like I said, I'm buying back my childhood, and I'm having a blast doing it.
Have you seen the Batman ones from Topps? Those
are so cool.
Aren't they awesome? The artwork.
And think about it. These are from 1966. These characters on there are not that much. When these cards came out, these characters were still pretty much new.
Yep. Oh yeah, sure. It's a lot of Jack Kirby art, which is fantastic, and a lot of these cards actually have a blank word balloon where you could fill in anything you wanted to, having the character say something. And the set that I have doesn't have any of them filled in.
Oh wow!
So it's harder to find, of course.
Don't get me wrong; those cards. Hold on, I was gonna say, don't get me wrong; those cards look great. But when Steve said they came with the gum, I just thought about that hard gum. That's great.
Yeah.
Don't eat the gum. Don't eat the gum.
Don't eat the gum.
Yeah, I don't think you should eat the gum.
No, don't eat the gum. You'll chip a tooth.
Yeah, until I saw these cards, I didn't even know. I always thought that the 90s was the first time they made cards. I didn't know they go back to 1966. That far back.
They go back further than that. There's the Superman set out there. So, there's older than that.
Yeah, I can imagine because DC's older. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I got the reprinted set of those old Superman cards from Topps when they came out. It was like an anniversary for that set, so I got the reprinted set, and those were just, even though it's reprinted, it's still cool.
Yeah. Let me go back to
we're a visual medium. It doesn't matter if it's a reprint. It's still really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So also just CBCS is going to be at a couple of events coming up. Steve, if you want to shed light on where are you guys going to be located at?
Oh, we're going to be a bunch of events, but the ones that I'll be at, where I can meet and greet and help people look at their books, determine if they're restored or if they're worth certifying, will be Baltimore in September. And that's a great fan-friendly show. It's really great. Yeah. I can't get enough of that place. I wish it was more than once a year. They do a fantastic job.
The Baltimore show is very popular.
Oh, yeah. And they're also bringing back the Dallas Fantasy Fair, which was a really big deal back in the day. And David Spurlock is bringing it back. CBCS is helping with that, and so is mycomicshop.com. And they're going to have Steranko, Bruner, a whole bunch of people. Really, really great guest list. Fantastic. And I'll be there in November. And that's probably what I'll be at for the rest of the year. The convention season kind of ends, December, January, kind of blah for conventions. And then we'll be hitting a bunch of cons after that. But we're hitting cons every weekend. There's some weekends we're doing 3 conventions.
Yeah.
But I have to sit and grade, so I can only go to so many.
Yeah.
Should try to make East Coast next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, East Coast is for us. That's the con we go to that one. Yeah, East Coast con, that one, or the Big Apple con we go to, because that's a New York thing. The Big Apple con it's still gritty and still it's based on just comic books.
Yes,
absolutely. Those are my favorite shows. The ones that are based on just comics. It's
a lot of vendors.
Sure. I mean, when I first set up at my first show, I was 12. It was a long time ago, and it was called a marketplace. It wasn't called a convention. It was Phil Seuling's, comic book marketplace.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was just fantastic. I mean, there's comic books and comic art everywhere. It was fantastic.
I mean, hell, I remember in Long Island over here, it was the first Sunday of every new month, and they had it in a basement of a hotel.
Was that Kenny's show?
It was out in East Meadow.
Yes.
Yeah, and was underneath a restaurant basement and the hotel basement or whatever it was, and it was the first Sunday each show, and they were all vendors. It was just all vendors, all collectors from the area, and I went many years to that with my dad taking me. And when I got older, me and my friend would go. That lasted a long time. And then, as everything picked up and the 90s came, and that's when it disappeared, when that whole 90s bubble burst.
Yeah. All right. So I think, we've passed that threshold already. And I think I would like to do the giveaway now. If Steve, you can stay with us so you don't have to, you don't have to go. We can hang out to the end.
I'd like to hear about the giveaway. So I'll hang out.
The giveaway is sponsored by GeekySwagShop.com. Like I said, they gave us this Deadpool book bag, so we can give away to one of you guys in the chat. So just 2 rules, simple rules. One, you have to be a subscriber. I'm gonna check to see it because I'm the one mailing it out. So whoever I mail it to, I'm gonna see if you are subscribed to the channel. And the second thing is Marky has a specific question that he wants to ask you guys, and the first person to get it right is the person who wins the book bag. So take it away, Marky. Go ahead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, get your ears cleared. I'm going to say this slowly and one time. What issue was the first appearance of Aquaman on the cover? Name an issue number. That's what I want. First ever Aquaman appearance on a cover. Yeah. First one who gets it gets the book bag.
I remember that he first showed up in the 40s in More Fun Comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Though that's his first appearance. More Fun Comics, and also what was the other character, Steve? That was his first.
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow was there.
There you go.
First appearance on the cover. I need the name of the book, guys, and the issue number.
Yeah, so far wrong. Everybody's wrong so far.
Nope. Not
Yeah,
yet.
you just say a number. It's not the number. You need the name of the issue of the book and the number.
And the number. Name and number.
Remember, this is a question, not a raffle, not a auction,
What?
guys.
All right.
We got a winner.
We got a winner. That's right.
Knights of the Old, Brave and Bold, 28. Correct, sir.
28, and that's also the first appearance of the Justice League.
Yes.
Yeah, he was on the cover. So Knights of the Old. If you want, yes, you can reach me on Instagram or you can reach me on Facebook. You can give me your address information, and then I'll get this mailed to you as soon as possible. Also, just to remind you guys that we have a discount code, NY Warriors. Use it to get 15% off of your order. The link to their website is in the description below. You can buy stuff like this Wolverine t-shirt. Came in a nice, cool box. This I can't give away. This is someone else's shirt.
Sorry.
But these are some of the things you can buy off their website, and 15% is pretty decent. Usually, discount codes are usually about 10%. So I think 50% was pretty good for a discount code. And also, if you guys have any submissions you guys want to do with CBCS or any information, the website is also linked in the description already below. And Steve, I just want to thank you for being our guest, and we had a great time. It's not like you're a guest anymore; you're our friend, So whenever you just want to shoot the breeze, or there's anything that you want to say, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, I love hanging out with you guys. I really do, and I really want to thank you all again. It's always fun to hang out with other collectors. It really is.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's right. Anything you guys want to say also, guys? And down the line, anything you guys want to promote? Anything you guys want to...
No, I'm good. Having a great conversation.
Shout out to everybody in the chat with the questions. How about that?
Yeah,
that
thanks everybody. Thanks for everybody being respectful in this chat. Thank you for your questions. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them. There was just so many of them. But we'll definitely do this again. And also just a reminder, this coming Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern is our 11th NY Warriors comic book auction. So, stay tuned for that. Like we always say, come for the deals. Well, stay for the deals.
Come for the deals, stay for the laughs.
There you go, guys. Thank you, guys. Thanks for helping me out. All right, guys. Until next time. Peace.
Later, guys.
Later, everybody.
Later, Gators.
Have a good night, all.